NWF Army at Wrestle Blast. In the opening contest, the tag match, Joe Pro James and Mr. J going against Mr. Destiny and the headline Shaun Evans. Mr. Destiny there with a good headlock apply. Big tackle from Mr. Destiny. Neither of these two teams have been teaming for particularly long. I believe this is Mr. Destiny and Shaun Evans' first time tagging together. And this is only the second time tagging together for Joe Pro James and Mr. J. And oh, look at that. Who's here to join me on commentary but the Swinger?
Sorry about that, Babes. Had to hit happy hour just like Joe Pro James hits that big back body drop on Mr. Destiny. You'd love to see it.
Oh, a fantastic maneuver by Joe Pro James, and now we get to see Mr. Juice, Mr. J, not Mr. Juice, sorry, they look so similar, but it's not. Mr. J, I've been told many a times. Nice elbow onto the arm of Mr. Destiny. And if anybody knows Mr. Destiny, it's you, Swinger. What did Mr. J and Joe Pro got to do to take down Mr. Destiny in this one?
Exactly what they are doing. Keep Destiny reeling at all times.
Well, if you keep doing moves like that, they're going to keep him reeling this whole match. That wasn't enough to keep Mr. Destiny down, but it definitely did some damage. Oh, and Mr. J, just a few matches into his very short NWF career so far, but he's looked very impressive as of yet.
That is correct. He is a new star on the horizon here at the NWF. But Mr. Destiny going for the knee. That's the one thing you have to avoid with him.
If there's one thing Mr. Destiny knows, it's working over that leg, making it impossible for you to use high-octane offense like Mr. J likes to use.
That is correct. Mr. Destiny will take all the gas out of your car by taking out your knee and will make sure you cannot move.
And now we have the headline here in the ring, and the headline, a much bigger stature than Mr. Destiny. He's the powerhouse of the duo, I'd say, and he certainly wants to hurt Mr. J as bad as anybody. Shaun Evans believing that Mr. J is in fact Juice, along with the great King Titan.
I don't believe it.
I just don't see it. You know, I think Mr. J is too tall. Juice is only 5'10", and Mr. J is 5'11". Everyone knows that.
Really?
And Juice doesn't speak Spanish, too.
You know, I've never met Mr. J other than in passing. I only got just a nice little knuckle bump. I like the gear. I like his fire. He is one of our brightest future stars.
And he's being cut down right now by Mr. Destiny.
I'd be remiss to say Mr. Destiny isn't the brightest future star right now. He has brought the fight to many people on the main roster, including myself.
Mr. Destiny with only one loss in his NWF career so far against you, the Swinger, so.
That is correct, but see that right there, turning it around on Mr. J. Mr. Destiny has one of the highest ring IQs as a future star.
I gotta agree with you there. He knows what he's doing in that ring at such a young age, at such a young stage in his career. And if it wasn't for his attitude, I would certainly say he is the brightest of the future stars.
That attitude, that chip on the shoulder that he carries for whatever reason drives him. Just like he drives knees into the mat.
Only a 2 count that time, though. Mr. Destiny not happy about it. You see Joe Pro James cheering on Mr. J from the outside. A very high-intensity team are Mr. J and Joe Pro. However, the fire slowly being drained by Mr. Destiny and the headline. Another tag maneuver made.
Let me show you how it's done.
Uh-oh.
Referee needs to gain control of this situation.
That's right. He has to get Mr. Destiny out of the ring. And now finally Mr. Destiny out of the ring. As Shaun Evans begins trying to take the mask off of Mr. J, and that's just so disrespectful.
And that is an automatic disqualification.
5 minutes
You
have gone by. 5
cannot
minutes.
manipulate any facial covering.
The mask, that's so much to a luchador's personality, and to have it taken off would mean to have your career.
Oh, absolutely. Could you imagine if we just... I'm not even going to go into it. It is just so sacrilegious.
Ooh.
Big fisherman suplex.
Excellent maneuver there from Mr. Destiny. Oh, but Mr. J getting a kickoff there. And a nice lung blower. Both men down in the center of the ring as the referee begins his count. Now maybe Mr. J can create some separation, get over to Joe Pro James.
He needs to hurry up. He's dead middle. Mr. Destiny already making that tag.
And Joe Pro James is now in this contest as well, firing hard with those right shots, taking Shaun Evans to task.
Mr. Intensity.
Oh, and Mr. Destiny running into his own partner that needs a huge splash there. Tag made. Mr. J's now the legal man along with Shaun Evans. Oh my gosh! Huge tope there from Mr. J as Joe Pro begins those right firing strikes on the headline.
Bicycle kick from Mr. Intensity himself.
And now looks like Mr. J's going up top. A lot of misters in this contest. Huge cross body. And there, Mr. J and Joe Pro with a huge win tonight over the headline. And Mr. Destiny.
Mr. Intensity, Joe Pro James, and Mr. J.